Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Hey, 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 all you hip chicks and hip cats. Glad to see you. If you're out there, now or later, I'm back. And not only that, but I have this little gadget all set up. So I showed you that on my very brief, spontaneous live not too long ago when I announced that Cat's Meow has moved permanently, at least for this calendar year, to 2022, to Thursdays at 4 o'clock from Monday. So I didn't get very much info out about it, very much PR, but this is where to find me every week. Not every week, every other week, the second and fourth Thursday of the month. So they are all on my website, listed under the events, I believe. And so here we go. Anine, bonjour. Catherine M. Thompson and Dijnikaz. Gawin Dendazin and Modem and Dodem. Oh my goodness, I'm not really out of practice. But that basically says Catherine M. Thompson is my name, and I don't know my clan. And there's more to it than that, but I have to get practiced up again. So yeah, this is Cat's Meow, Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. A little bad timing for today in that Simon is here mowing the lawn, so you may hear that in the background. You may see him in the background as he marches back and forth across our lawn. We acknowledge that the Cat's Meow sits on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the Six Nations of the Grand River, as well as the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat Confederacies, and the lands of many other Indigenous people who passed through or who called and still call this land their home. This territory is part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty, which is an agreement between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. And in making this statement, I acknowledge and honor that these lands carry the truth of the lives that were taken and the agreements that were broken, and the wisdom of ancestors whose spirits live on in the animals, soil, and vegetation. In stepping on this land, we seek both forgiveness and permission from these ancestors, with the agreement that we have the responsibility to honor and to respect all who are here now and all who have yet to come, recognizing that in many ways these lands remain restricted from teachings, resources, and development in partnership with Indigenous peoples. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to live, to receive gifts from, to work on, and to benefit from this land. So if you're out there, give me a sign, and if you're not, but you watch this later, please, this live chat will be available eventually, probably within a day, on the YouTube on the YouTube video of this live. But you can make comments in the just in the comment boxes that are on that if you aren't here on the live chat. So this is the live that I was planning to do in the month of August. August the 5th would have been my dad's 108th birthday, and August 31st would have been my mom's 109th birthday. However, as you might remember, I tripped and fell on that 5th of August, and had my finger reset on the 23rd of August, and I just got the splint changed today to this it's less fancy in a funny kind of way, but it is something I can take off and clean my hand and, wash the splint itself, because the one that came off today had been on for 3 weeks, and the smell of my hand under the splint, was kind of like bad cheese and old socks, or old socks and bad cheese. It was just, bad socks and old cheese, like some horrible combination of that. I was like trying to get away from my hand all the time. So now I can wash it, and I can also undo this top strap right there and do these exercises to strengthen. It's not quite healed, and I can't drive, which is what I was hoping. So that's a catch up on me. Everything else, has more or less faded. The bruises have faded, and that. It was a spectacular faceplant, I must say. I'm just fiddling around with my songs here, trying to decide what order I'm going to do them in, because I got them all ready, and I practiced them quietly, silently in my head. And there's going to be a lot of a cappella stuff, because, I only use my tracks when I've had something recorded and produced. And so the reason, of course, that we're talking about trains is that, that was my dad's thing, wasn't it? I mean, he was not just my dad. Oh, yes, I grew up in St. Thomas, and St. Thomas, Ontario is called Railroad City. And in fact, you can go down to St. Thomas, which is about 20 miles south of London, and you can go to the old shops in St. Thomas, the old New York Central shops, or Amtrak it came to be known, and it was, originally the Pennsylvania Central or something like that. But what they've done is they've turned that into a railroad museum, and the shop offices are full of all kinds of albums and photographs and things that you can look at, bits of, trains and things. And then you can go into the shop, and they've got big locomotives pulled up on tracks, and that they've all restored and everything. It's quite amazing. So that's where JD and I were both born there. And my dad was a fireman. He began as a fireman, as they all do, and became an engineer. But his union was called the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen and Enginemen. And he became the local chairman, and then he became the general chairman over 5 divisions, 4 of them in the States. But my father-in-law was also an engineer. He worked for the C&O, B&O, and he became the general chairman of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers. So they were competing unions, but they continued years and years and years. Those unions continued to hold the contract for each of those railroads, and there were about 3 or 4 other railroads that came through St. Thomas. So my Uncle Paul, our friend Jack, they all worked for the C&O, and there was my grandfather-in-law he was a brakeman, and he worked for the C&O. So I guess Dad was an outlier in that group, because he worked for the New York Central and eventually the Amtrak. One of the little trains that went through St. Thomas, it was called the LNPS, the London and Port Stanley train. So this was a train that came from London to bring visitors. It was local transportation. It would kind of be like catching a GO train nowadays. But it just ran from London to Port Stanley through St. Thomas. And so when I wrote a stories song about about how we met, it's a little bit about the LNPS, and it goes like this. We board the LNPS to Port Stanley, summertime at its best, sunning on the sand, diving under the waves, dancing at the Store Club at the end of the day. The first time that we met, I was not yet 16. The night was dark, the fires were low. We walked the beach, I watched him throw a log of burning embers to the sky. which left a trail of starlight as it fell into the lake to softly die. And your deep voice sent shivers through me, speaking of the curve in space, Einstein's theory, time's continuum. Even though I could not see your face, I fell in love. We board the LMPS to Port Stanley, summertime at its best, sunning on the sand, diving under the waves, dancing at the Store Club at the end of the day. The second time we met, when I was past 16, the day was bright, your friend too bold. I walked away, you watched me go, then found a telephone to call me home, which left a trail of starlight. When you asked me to the dance, our love was born. And your deep voice sent shivers through me. Even though you could not see my face, you fell in love. For over 50 years we've told this story, a night of glory, a summer love, of how your voice sent shivers through me. Even though I could not see your face, we fell in love. We board the LMPS to Port Stanley, summertime at its best, sunning on the sand, diving under the waves, dancing at the Store Club. We go dancing at the Store Club, and we'll be dancing at the Store Club till the end of our days. A summer love, a summer love. I should have left those two lines off at the end like I have in the lyrics, but I felt it needed a bit more of an ending. And Sue, hey Sue, it's great to see you too. It's lovely to be back after a whole month and hardly anything in July. It's great. Every other Thursday, 4 o'clock, and I'll be here. So, and I now that I've got this rolling, I'm hoping I'll be able to do a little more PR and reach out to a few more people. But if you are on my email list on my website, which is https://CatherineMThompson.com, but you can get to it by CatherineMThompson.ca or catscupboard.ca or .com, I think. I got to check that. That's what's supposed to be happening there. So, Sue, I hope things are going fine for you. It's been a crazy few weeks here. The reason that we are on Thursday now is because, as all of you may know, some of you may know, I've been providing care for a loved one who is getting some serious treatment in Toronto for a serious illness, and consequently, I'm out of town. I'm in Toronto for the Monday and Tuesday, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. However, I should always be here on Thursday afternoon, so it may be a bit of a quick setup, but that's what's going on. And I'm going to show you this little light. I showed it to you, but I didn't have the right setup. And fortunately, in one of the drawers, with junk, there was a double USB port, which I could use. So this light has different settings. So I don't know if that's going to do it. Oh, wait a minute. It went off. Hold on. Resume.